Hey guys, welcome to CrushCarb, where we crush carbs, not flavors. A lot of you guys think that you cannot enjoy fried foods on a low-carb diet, but I'm here to prove you wrong. Today, I'm sharing one of my go-to meals that is low in carbs, but yet crispy, fried, and very delicious. And those are my air-fried, crispy, cheesy chicken rolls. These are super easy to make, so let's get started. So first, we're going to be making our almond flour dough. So I have here 1 cup of blanched almond flour. This is usually the kind of almond flour I always use in all of my low-carb recipes because in appearance, it's the best alternative to all-purpose flour. And it is so great in low-carb meals because it's very healthy and very low in carbs, and yet it has fiber and protein, so it's great. To this, I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of tapioca starch. Tapioca starch is really critical to add in here because you need binding agents for the almond flour because almond flour itself does not have the tendency to bind, so you need to have other ingredients that can help bind and help form that dough. So tapioca starch is a really critical ingredient. It will help bind with the almond flour. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 2 tablespoons of tapioca starch. To this, I'm going to next be adding xylem husk powder. This is another critical ingredient because this will help form that flexible, stretchy dough that you need. Because almond flour does not have the tendency to bind and form a dough like all-purpose flour does. You need to have these additional ingredients in there. I will mention about xylem husk powder though that it is not really available in grocery stores, but you can easily find this from Amazon. So I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of the xylem husk powder. Xylem husk powder is also great because it adds more fiber to your dough, and you need fiber in your dough. So that's what's also good about the xylem husk powder. I do want to mention though that you cannot substitute xylem husk powder with xanthan gum. They serve 2 different purposes. Xanthan gum in this case will create an elastic dough, and it's usually used more for having that chewy texture in whatever you're baking. So in this case, you don't want to have that chewy texture, and you don't also want to have that elastic dough. So do not use xanthan gum. You definitely need to have that xylem husk powder instead. Next, we're going to be adding 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder. This is also crucial because it will help give that fluffiness you need to your dough. So make sure you do add this as well. And next, we're going to be adding 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. This is also crucial because you want to have a bit of salt in your dough. It gives really good flavor. Now that we have all our dry ingredients in here, we're going to give this a mix. Make sure all the ingredients are nicely incorporated. All right, everything is all nicely incorporated, and now we're going to be adding our wet ingredients. So first, it's going to be 1 tablespoon of oil. So I have your olive oil. You can use olive oil or avocado oil. I just have olive oil, always readily accessible because that's the oil I'm always using, so I'm just going to use olive oil. Next, to form our dough, we need to have water. So I have here 1/2 cup of hot water. So it's really crucial to use hot water because you really need to have all your ingredients bind together and form that dough. So you will need hot water. So this is not boiling water. You want to make sure that you just get it to temperature to where it's hot, but it's not boiling. If it's starting to boil, that's fine as well. Now we're going to mix everything together. Make sure you are quick on this. Mix everything until you get that dough to form. I have everything almost mixed together. I'm going to add another ingredient. This is just to improve that flexibility and just to make sure that your dough is not breaking or cracking. And this is 1/2 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. This is optional, but I do suggest adding this because it will help improve that flexibility and will help make sure that your dough doesn't crack. So we're just going to give all this a mix. Alrighty, I have everything nicely incorporated like a ball. So now you want to let this sit for 10 minutes because you need to have that xylem husk powder absorb in. So it's going to take about 10 minutes so you can absorb the water and absorb all those ingredients so you can have the proper dough and so it doesn't break. So you just want to let it sit for 10 minutes. So while we have our dough resting, we're going to work on cooking some veggies that are going to go inside our rolls. So I have here some red bell peppers, green bell peppers, and some white onions. You can have whatever veggies that you want to add per your preference. Feel free to be creative because this is however you want to enjoy these rolls. So I have here some olive oil in a pan, no measured amount, just for cooking. And to this, I'm going to be adding some red bell peppers that I've chopped up. No measured amount, totally up to you on how many veggies that you like to have in your rolls. And next, I have here some green bell peppers, and I'm going to add this as well. And lastly, I have some white onions. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this as well. All right. We're going to give this all a mix. You just want to cook these veggies just so that they're cooked and translucent. You just don't want to have them raw. So this will just take about 5 minutes or so. All right, look at this. Our veggies look perfect. I just like to get them lightly golden brown so they start to caramelize because they add really good flavor. All right, and now we're going to be adding some seasoning. So first is salt to taste. So I have about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can add however much salt that you want to add per your preference. This is just to taste. And then I have 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then I have 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic powder. I love the flavor of this garlic powder. Granulated is always the version that you should use because that's what really pulls out the garlic flavor. If you just use regular garlic powder, you're not going to really get that garlic flavor. And lastly, I have 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can use cayenne or you can use paprika, whatever your preference is. Both work really great with this recipe. And I'm just going to give this all a mix. All right, our veggies look great. I can just smell all the seasonings that we added in here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the gas. So coming back to our dough here, 10 minutes have elapsed. It's completely okay if it goes over 10 minutes. You just want to let it sit for at least 10 minutes. So I'm going to now work on kneading this dough. So you just want to knead the dough. You're going to need your hands in here. Make sure the dough doesn't crack. So this is why you wanted to add the oil because the dough is very soft. So it's really critical to have a really soft dough. So make sure you do add that oil. All right, so we have our dough ready. So I have 2 sheets of parchment paper here and a rolling pin, and we're going to be rolling out our dough. So you want to first just grab a small amount of the dough and you want to form a ball out of it. Alrighty, so we have 6 balls formed from our dough. So now we're going to roll out our dough. So I have 2 sheets of parchment paper here. So I'm going to put one dough right here. Just press it a little bit. Don't worry about it not being uniform in shape because we're going to be making rolls. So don't worry about it cracking a little. If you are making almond flour tortillas from this, then you can just add a little bit of hot water at a time and mix it up again to help with the cracking if it is cracking. And then you're going to have to let it sit for a bit and wait a few minutes because you want to have that water get absorbed in from the xylem husk powder. So I have our dough here. So I have the other sheet of parchment paper on the top, and you just want to roll it out. So I have one of our dough rolled out. It's absolutely fine if it looks like this. It's not going to be perfect. So we're going to be forming rolls out of this, so this is absolutely fine. So I'm going to repeat the same step for the remaining of our balls. We have our second one for here. So you don't want to roll it out too much because we are making rolls out of this. These are so delicious. You know, I love making these. And even if you want to make a tortilla out of this, it's great for that because having these fresh tortillas are delicious. I just love the smell of having a fresh tortilla. And these are so healthy and low in carbs. What else can you get, right? Alrighty, so we have all our 6 balls rolled out, and that's what we have here. Remember, it does not have to be perfectly circular because we're going to form these into rolls, so it does not matter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be putting our stuffing in here. So I'm going to grab one of the tortilla here, just like that. If it's like cracking a little bit, don't worry because it will stick all together just like that. So don't worry about that. Okay, now to this, I'm going to be first adding some ground chicken. So I have prepared this ahead of time. It's really quick and easy to make ground chicken. It's just one of my classic recipes for ground chicken. So all it is you're just cooking the chicken in some butter until it turns white. And then for seasonings, it's just cumin powder, black pepper, chili powder, and salt to taste. And that's it. That quick and easy to make. And next to this, we're going to be adding some veggies that we have cooked here. These veggies have cooled down, so that's the good thing about it. Because you want to make sure they are cooled down, and it will be by the time you're done rolling out your dough. And next, to make these cheesy, of course, we need our cheddar cheese. So I have mild cheddar cheese here. I'm just going to add that here to the top. Just like that. Just a little bit of cheese. And so now all you need to do is just wrap this up. So I'm just going to fold it over, making sure the stuffing stays in, and just combine it all together like you're doing a sandwich. Just like that. Making sure your stuffing stays in. The dough could crack a little like you see here, so you can just take a little bit of water and just touch up those cracks. So I just grabbed some water in my hands, just touching up those cracks like that, and that will help bind up that dough together. Because you got to remember, you're working with almond flour, so it is really delicate. It's not going to be the same like you work with all-purpose flour. But water is great. It will help bind up the dough together. So just like that, we have our roll ready. So I have all of my 6 rolls ready here. So I have this in a baking pan that I have brushed with some olive oil at the bottom. And I'm just going to brush some olive oil on the top so they're not dry, just so that they can get nice and crispy in the oven. Just adding a little bit. You don't want to add too much oil. All right, got my last one there. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to eat these already. I can't wait for these to be ready. And you could also make these vegetarian. You don't have to add the chicken. You can add whatever veggies of your choice. You can be creative and make whatever that you like. That's what's so great about cooking at home, right? You can be creative, make whatever you like, and also you know what you're putting in there, right? When you buy food from outside, you don't know what they're adding in there, right? So we have no preservatives, all homemade. That's what's so great about it. All right, so now we're going to put this in the oven and we're going to air fry this. I have the air fry option in my oven. You can throw this in the air fryer, whatever you like to do, but you want to air fry these so they can get nice and crispy. You want to air fry these at 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes, just until they are golden brown. Look at that. Our crispy, cheesy chicken rolls are ready. They look super delicious, mouth-watering. These are nice and crispy. You can see how cheesy they are. The cheese is popping out a little. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering. The xylem husk powder we added in here makes this very high in fiber, so it's really good and healthy for you. I prepared a sauce on the side, which is one of my favorite instant sauces. I call it my salsa crema. I will be sharing a recipe for this later on, so stay tuned for that. Now it's time to taste. Oh my goodness, just look at that. The cheese has popped out a little. That's absolutely fine. Oh my God, I can just tell how cheesy these are. Oh my gosh, and it's nice and crispy, hot as well. So I can't wait to try this now. Mmm. Mm. Mm. Look out. That's the perfect amount of cheese that I like. I didn't make mine too cheesy because it just gets too heavy. It's just the perfect amount of cheese. The flavor of those veggies with the chicken and the cheese, the cheddar cheese. It's just delicious. Oh, this is so hot. I'm so tempted to just eat all of this right now. This is so good, and you guys need to try this. If you enjoyed this recipe, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to CrushCarb. Try it out and let me know in the comments below how you liked it. So until next time, let's keep cooking, experimenting, and as always, let's keep crushing carbs.